Behind the radiant neon lights of Monaco lies not luck, but a system of brutal discipline that 99% of the world out there could never endure. You see the enjoyment, but I will show you the execution. If you believe that true power comes from control, not ostentation, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter on the world of the elite. As the last sunset dissolves into the Mediterranean, the Principality of Monaco does not wake up to noise. It awakens with a silence full of power. Observe Casino Square at this moment. This is not a place for hurried tourists. This is the sanctuary of those who have understood the highest law of existence. The lower the volume, the higher the prowess. We often mistakenly believe that luxury is ostentation. But here, luxury is defined by the ability to control space without speaking. Watch how the supercars enter the lobby. A Rolls-Royce or Ferrari in Monaco does not roar to seek attention. They glide. This is sound mastery. In the psychological analysis of wealth, noise is a manifestation of instability, of the need to be acknowledged. Conversely, silence is a testament to a status so firmly established that it requires no explanation. The elegance you are admiring does not come from the silk layers outside. It comes from something called social geometry. Notice how they occupy space. Every step has a rhythm. Every stop is strategic. They are not in a hurry because they are the masters of time. When the rush of the outside world no longer controls you, you begin to radiate a type of energy we call absolute presence. And here is a small but eternally valuable lesson I want to share with you. A person's value lies not in what they try to display, but in what they are capable of holding back. In an era of distraction, where everyone tries to scream the loudest on social media, restraint is the most expensive currency. The discipline to keep oneself serene amidst the chaotic crowd is the highest form of freedom. I want to give you a new perspective to ponder. Is this silence mere enjoyment or a form of investment? Consider silence as the strategic reserve of the soul. The people present here do not just own assets, they own the discipline to protect their mental state. They know that to control engines of millions of horsepower or giant financial empires, the first thing they must control is their own heart rate. The luxury we see is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the calm waters of Monte Carlo Harbor are the fierce waves of a tamed will. Don't look at the car, look at the driver. Don't look at the dress, look at the posture of the wearer. You will realize silent beauty is actually a type of iron discipline refined to the ultimate level. But be careful, do not let this silence lull you. Because right behind those smooth velvet layers and leisurely steps is an operating system as rigid and cold as a diamond. Calmness is merely the mask of a steel will that never knows the word compromise. Once we have decoded the language of silence, it is time to step deeper into the central machinery, where every carbon curve and every piston stroke represents not just speed, but the embodiment of a spirit that does not accept mediocrity. Under the amber gold light of Casino Square, the masterpieces from Maranello or Sant Agata Bolognese do not appear as means of transport. They manifest as moving architectural entities. Look at the carbon fiber curves, the air intakes calculated precisely to every millimeter to confront the resistance of reality. This is where mechanics is no longer mere mathematics. It becomes the language of consistency. In in-depth technical analysis, a supercar is not defined by top speed, but by structural integrity. It is the result of millions of correct decisions, with no room for compromise or near-miss errors. And this is the intersection between a $1,000,000 machine and an extraordinary prowess. Both are built from the strictest standards in the shadows. We often praise the glory of the victor, but forget the steel structure that supports that glory. The prowess of a man or a woman in Monaco lies not in their bank account, but in their internal operating system. You cannot control a V12 engine with a chaotic mind, nor can you reign over an empire if you haven't learned to master your own breath. A valuable lesson this luxury teaches us is, mediocrity is a soothing poison. Mediocrity convinces you that good is enough, that safety is success. But in the world of leaders, mediocrity is the enemy of dominance. A machine designed to be a legend will never accept a second-rate component. So why do you accept a second-rate habit or a frail will for your only life? I want to invite you to ponder a new perspective. Prowess is not a burst of inspiration, but the structure of habit. Look at the composure of the drivers here. They glide through the bustling crowd with absolute focus. Their presence has weight because it is built on thousands of hours of discipline, solitude, and saying no to mediocre temptations. The architecture of a great person is like the architecture of a legendary car. It must be rigid where load-bearing is needed and flexible where aerodynamics are required. You need the toughness to protect principles and the fluidity to adapt to the fluctuations of the game. True luxury is when your internal structure is so strong that your exterior can afford to be gentle. When you understand that power does not come from noise, but from the durable structure of the will, you will look at this world with different eyes. You will no longer seek the applause of the crowd, but the satisfaction of your own strict standards in the mirror. But a perfect machine with a steel structure is still just a cold object, without the softness of breath and the rhythm of the soul. True power lies not only in solid blocks of steel and carbon, but also in how it is performed artistically and emotionally. It is time to temporarily leave the cold mechanical engines to admire another kind of power, more subtle, deeper, and full of instinct. The power that shapes the rhythm of the Monaco night. If the supercars are the architectural skeleton of the Monaco night, then the pink shadows, the women, gliding across this square are the soul that shapes its rhythm. But do not mistake this for a mere stroll of beauty. At the sanctuary of the elite, beauty has never been accidental. It is a non-verbal strategy calculated to the millimeter. Observe how a woman steps out of a car door and sets foot on the marble floor. There is no presence of hurry. In the world of the upper class, hurry is a manifestation of being unready, a sign of being dominated by time. Conversely, slowness is the manifesto of the master of the game. They do not seek attention. They are the center around which attention must revolve. This is the concept we call static presence, an ability to subjugate space without the need for sound or impulsive action. The elegance you see is actually an iron discipline wrapped in velvet. To have straight shoulders, a steady gaze, and a composed demeanor amidst thousands of lenses is the result of complete mastery of the ego. In the theory of social symbolism, demeanor is not the clothes you wear, but the way you convey your value through your body. A high-end evening gown is just a decorative item if the wearer does not possess a solid mindset. The valuable lesson we can draw here is, true power always takes the form of composure. In a modern society where everyone is trying to scream to assert themselves in cyberspace, the ability to maintain serenity becomes a supreme advantage. Confidence does not come from how many people look at you, but from knowing exactly who you are, even when no one is watching. I want to offer a new perspective for you to ponder. Is this demeanor a performance for the world to see? Or is it actually a ritual for themselves? In Monaco, demeanor is a type of invisible armor. It protects the owner from mediocre distractions and keeps them in a state of high alertness. This is an execution of identity. They do not dress or walk to please the crowd. They do it to maintain their own standards. Ask yourself, when was the last time you acted entirely because of your own standards, instead of meeting the expectations of others? The greatest luxury is not the item you own, but the ability to keep your demeanor unaffected by any external variables. That is when you realize that beauty is only the starting point, while aura is what helps you stay at the peak the longest. Once we understand the structure of prowess and the strategy of demeanor, we realize that all these preparations serve a single purpose: execution. In Monaco, there is no concept of trying. Every moment of appearance must be a precise attack on the senses. The silence has been long enough, and the demeanor has been established. Now, it is time to talk about the explosive moment of action, where internal discipline transforms into concrete results, where dreams no longer lie on paper, but begin to shape the real world. As the night grows late, Monaco does not tire. It shifts into a state of high-intensity operation. If the previous chapters spoke of silence and demeanor, this is when all those factors converge to create results. Here, we call this the point of execution. In the world of the elite, ideas are garbage without the ability to realize them. You don't come this far just to stop at almost. Watch how a supercar leaves its parking spot and merges into the flow of Monte Carlo. That is not a random movement. It is an action programmed by precision. Analyzed from a performance management perspective, luxury is actually the optimization of all resources. Every gear shift, every press of the accelerator carries a meaning. There are no redundant movements, no wasted effort. This is the greatest lesson Monaco teaches us. You cannot reign over what you refuse to master. We often confuse busyness with execution. The crowd out there is busy with borrowed goals, dreams lying still on paper. But the people you see here, they are the hunters of destiny. They understand that success is not a game of passive attraction, but a game of calculated pursuit. A mechanical masterpiece does not just happen to appear on this square. It is the result of millions of hours of brutal execution in factories. Your life is the same. The valuable lesson I want you to engrave in your heart: the distance between dreams and reality is the discipline of execution. The difference between the top 1% and the rest lies not in talent, but in the ability to close the deal. You have the strategy, you have the faith, but if you don't put them into the gears of execution right now, you only own broken toys. Don't wait until you feel ready, because readiness is an illusion. Readiness only comes in the process of your action. I want to offer a new perspective for us to ponder. Greatness is actually a series of small things performed extraordinarily. Don't look at this luxury as something out of reach. Look at it as the result of performing the smallest disciplines every day with a non-compromising standard. In the psychology of success, the biggest nightmare is not failure, but standing by your deathbed at age 80 and realizing you died with the grand instructions still in your pocket. Monaco at night is proof that every blueprint can become a reality if its creator dares to step across the boundary of safety. This is the time to close all useless dialogues, all mediocre distractions, to focus all power on a single mission. You didn't come here to be a mediocre number. You came here to execute the identity of a king. When the machines have finished their tasks, when the footprints have been deeply imprinted on the marble floor, we realize that every attack needs a perfect ending. Intense execution only truly has value when it leaves a legacy, an indelible mark, even when its owner has departed. That is another kind of art, more subtle than execution, deeper than power. It is the art of the ending and the legacy. As the square lights gradually dim, only the naked truth remains about what we have created. When the night in Monaco reaches its deepest point and ultimate art is revealed, it is not how you appear, but how you leave. In the world of leaders, peak presence often ends in absolute silence. This is the concept of tactical departure. Observe the figures gliding past the last lights of the tunnel, or the cars gradually disappearing beyond the Riviera horizon. They do not linger to beg for one more second of applause, nor do they try to prolong attention, because they understand that legacy is not built by being present forever, but by leaving a void that cannot be filled. Analyzed from the perspective of the psychology of authority, a timely absence is the most powerful catalyst for mystery. True power does not need to be repeated, it only needs to be remembered. The legacy we are talking about here is not just an inheritance, but the mark of standards. When a person of iron discipline leaves a room, their standards remain there, like an unshakable law. The small but priceless lesson here is, how you end something will define the entire process of how you performed it. A door closed with control, an engine fading out in precision, that is absolute respect for the journey past. Never end a day, a project, or a relationship in chaos. End it in the nobility of one who has fully executed their mission. Our journey through the Monaco night was not to admire the luxury of others, but to illuminate your own internal structure. Stand before the mirror of your inner self and answer honestly. Are you the driver of your life's machine, or just a passenger asleep in the passenger seat? The elite world you just saw is only a reflection of a spirit that never accepts mediocrity. The perspective I want you to take away after this video is, discipline is not imprisonment. Discipline is the power to become free. The greatest luxury does not lie in the item you buy, but in the ability to look in the mirror and see someone who has done exactly what they promised themselves. Do not let the great instructions of destiny die of old age in your chest. Awaken the most brilliant version being suppressed behind that ordinary exterior. If you feel value in decoding the deep layers of luxury and the leadership mindset, hit like and subscribe to the channel. This is not just an act of support, but your commitment to accompany us on the journey of unleashing elite identity. For those who want to stay long-term and support in-depth content projects about Monaco, as well as the world of the elite, you can send encouragement through the Super Thanks feature. Your companionship is the fuel for us to continue creating new standards of content. The night is late, but your day has just begun. Go out there, execute discipline, and leave your own legacy. Thank you for following. We will meet again in the next chapter of greatness.